And we are back on this lovely Wednesday edition of the Doing All Right. Voch is here in the I said Voch, my bad, y'all. I am here in the studio at the headquarters. Bryan Broaddus is an indie radio row, holding it down, doing shows 12 hours a day, probably longer than that. And Bryan's down there networking, getting us information, getting us some answers over there. Mr. Broaddus, what's happening with you, sir?
Hey, it's good to see you, Vachi. Yeah, I just want to say first off, thanks to our friends over at DallasCowboys.com, Alex Lilly and Tommy Yarish, Nicole, all of them for Hutchinson I'm at their broadcast position right now. 105.3, The Fan is over to my left. The players are all behind me. We've already started with defensive tackles and edges are getting interviewed right now. The coaches on podiums, general managers on podiums. So yeah, we're off and running here at the Combine. But again, thanks to our brothers and sisters over here at DallasCowboys.com for letting me kind of invade their space for a little bit.
Stay in there. Place this mug right there. Put this mug. Put that mug
I see
right
that
there.
phone. I see that golden phone.
Bryan, we on the internet, man. I'm chronically on the internet. That's where I make a living. If I wasn't making money on the internet, I wouldn't be on there. You feel me? And all over the Twitter machine, we're having these conversations, and it's gonna definitely go back to a conversation me and you had there, Bryan. I'll just save that surprise for you. But there's been a bunch of talk about, the agents and the Joneses coordinating with them and negotiating and stuff like that. We'll talk to Pickens when we talk to him. Javonte Williams is done. We're going to talk about Clowney one day too, Bryan, like what that kind of means. I got a little take on that. But the big news that came out on the internet streets last night was the Brandon Aubrey situation. And there was this rumor going around. Tell me if it's true, my friend, that Brandon Aubrey and his representation, Todd France, I believe his name is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's Dak's agent. Cool. That he's asking not only for Brandon Aubrey to be the highest paid kicker of all damn time, but that they asking for $10 million for 10 whole M's. Now, just for any of our people watching that, maybe weren't following along and didn't have they thinking caps on, Jordan Lewis made $10 million to go play nickel on a real good defense last year in Jacksonville, Bryan. First of all, let me just ask you, has anybody on your phone confirmed that? And whether they have or not, what's your reaction to the news of a $10 million request from the Cowboys there?
Yeah, absolutely. I did get that confirmed. Calvin Watkins was the one that was really first out reporting that. And so I wanted to make sure that that was actually the case. I reached out to somebody in the organization and I said, $10 million for a kicker? And they said, yeah, how about that? So yeah, they did in fact try. That was the initial offer. The Cowboys are in the $7 million range, maybe a little bit north of that. But here we are, Todd France taking the hammer once again to the Cowboys.
Bryan, I immediately tweeted when I saw the miss, and I said I'll talk to Bryan whenever I talk about it. I remember a while ago, me and you were having a conversation, and this ain't for me to be told you so, guy, nothing like that. This is just to give people context on how I feel about the kicker in general. I like the kicker. Shouts out to the kicker. Love to have the kicker, right? But a long time ago, Bryan, I was like, hey, man, I would pay Pickens before I would pay Jake Ferguson, Deron Bland, and damn Brandon Aubrey, because all those names popping up. We were doing this exercise over the season, Bryan, of who you want to pay first. And it was always the left guard, and it was always George Pickens. Everybody else, I would like for those guys to kind of get in where you fit in, right? If David Mulugeta wants to play some hardball for George Pickens, one of the most impactful players on your team at an impactful position, I can understand, Bryan. You feel me? If Todd France wants to, beat us upside the head, quarterback negotiation, I feel you, man. That got 60. It is what it is. Bryan, I'd be damned if I let Todd France come up in here and try to bully me over the kicker. I don't give a damn how good the kicker is. And Aubrey might be the best kicker in the league. But you need to be magical. What your man say, walking on water, Bryan Broaddus?
Walking on water. Yep.
I need
you better be walking on water.
I need you to be making them from 70 for $10 million. And we don't even see him attempt those, Brian. You know what I'm saying? So I just, in this situation, I mean, there's some buttons they can hit. There's some tags they can use. There's, letting them walk is an option, Brian. But I would rather take that $10 million and put it on my defense where it was a real emergency. And I called Kai Forbath for $38 before I let Todd France and them get 10 for the kicker, Brian.
Yeah, there's a couple of different avenues that you can go here, Voch, and him being a restricted player, they can use the tenders. They can use a first round tender. I think that's roughly around $8 million. The second round tenders in that 5.5 range, and then there's the third tender that they can use. It's just kind of a right of first refusal. So the Cowboys do have some ways to attack Todd France and this situation. They'll put the tender on, which they feel like if, in fact, that you get somebody that will, maybe you get somebody like the Rams. You put the first round tender. The Rams have 2 first round picks. They have, I believe, Atlanta's pick and then their own pick at the end of the first round. And so now you're in a situation where if a team like the Rams, who is really, really good on offense, very good on defense, maybe they're looking at their situation saying, man, we are a kicker away from having the stability and having the kind of team that we really, really want to have going forward. And, we know with the Rams, Les Snead, my guy, is kind of an F them picks guy. He might jump into the waters here and see if fact it like, okay, maybe I could pay Aubrey this contract that would make the Cowboys automatically say, no, we're going to just go ahead and take your pick and then move forward. So there are a couple of different options that they can use. But if in fact nobody bites on this, then you're on the hook for the $8 million or the $5 million or going down the line wherever you tender the player.
If your last name was Jones, what would you do?
If my last name is Jones, I think he's an important part of what you do. I would challenge anybody to tell me, regardless of his job, is he the best at his job? Is he the best at his job on this football team? When you start to talk about, the things that he is capable of, the weapons that, or the weapon that you can use him as. Yes, there's the possibility of the 60-yard field goal. We saw what he did in the Giants game, to kick it to get it to overtime and then finish it in overtime. We've seen he has that kind of leg. You look at like his percentage. Yeah, it's kind of down as compared to others, but go add up the number of kicks that he, attempted from, 60, 65 yards. But go look at the ones he made from 60 or 65 yards too, which also leads the National Football League. Me personally, you mentioned $10 million. Yeah, a lot of money, but for what this guy does at his position and what he does for the team going forward and the potential to, in games from distance where maybe, you're not moving the ball all that well, but you find a way to get in position late in the game. I think I would do this if I were the Dallas Cowboys. And I could see why other teams would be interested in paying a guy like this because of just all the things I said.
Man, Brian, I ain't gonna lie. $4 million for a kicker is a lot to me.
Sure.
5 is a lot to me. You're not wrong. He is one of the best at what he does. But this is kind of how I look at it. If my last name was Jones, right?
Yeah.
You see Brandon Aubrey. You see Brandon Aubrey on the field, 12 times a game or something like that?
Sure.
I just think with this defense, and it's so interesting seeing social media talk about it a little bit, you know what I mean? Because some people was, giving us they was giving us a hard time about the running back. Me and you love running backs, but they was giving them a hard time about giving money to the running back, but they're fine kind of giving money to the kicker or whatever. I think running back is a lot more valuable than kicker in that way. And, you may not have, like, if things don't work out and Aubrey's in Jacksonville with Cam Little or whatever, they just take turns kicking the football, whatever happens, right? I think it'll be easier to find a serviceable kicker with the offense that you have than, damn, Brian, we need a nickel player now. We need 3 safeties, Brian. We need 5 pass rushers to go along with with the guys that we have. And you asked you made a really good remark earlier on the radio. I want to give you credit for it. You said, man, look, Brandon Aubrey for $10 million. Look, Kenny Murray got 7. They may have been wrong for giving Kenny Murray 7, Brian. You ain't wrong. They did give him 7. They was, it happened. But now I'm like, all right, if you gave Kenny Murray 7, I would have rather add $3 more million to that for an impact dude on defense than dealing with the kicker, especially if resources tight, especially if you're about to give a wide receiver $32 million.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand people's apprehension out there for the kicker. I totally get it. And, the defense does need a lot of help. I do feel like that this guy is vital to your offense. Listen, it doesn't sound like that they're going to do anything to the offense this year. Yeah. It really doesn't. So all of a sudden he becomes, if you're going to make a move, then he becomes your offensive player that you're going to pay. Yeah. They're likely not going to draft offensive players. Yeah. I mean, you look at what, Christian Parker and, Stephen Jones even said this. You can go back on DallasCowboys.com and see all the videos and stuff and listen to Stephen Jones talk. You go 105.3 The Fan, listen to Stephen Jones talk about, what they're going to do. They realized their defense was awful. And I think they have a plan for what they want to do defensively. So I would look at Brandon Aubrey as, if you're going to make one move to help the offense, I would think this would be the move that you would make. This would be the $10 million move. Now, the fact that they were willing to tender him or to pay him, 7.5, I think that tells you where they're at. I don't think they want to go to 10 from my source there in the front office, but the fact that they're willing to go to 7.5, they feel like that they could get this one done and then be able to do other things that they have to do to help fix their defense.
One last point, and we won't have to be here too long. I heard you talking to Clayton Adams this morning, Cowboys offensive coordinator there. And
boy, I tell you what, you can learn a lot talking to Clayton Adams. Clayton Adams loves to talk football, but man, I appreciate the opportunity to ask him some questions today.
To the point that you made a couple seconds ago, it doesn't seem like the Cowboys are doing anything different. I feel like Clayton Adams kind of confirmed that. Big Tyler's going to be the left guard, and your tackles are going to be Guyton and Steele. I think that's going to be the move moving forward, Brian. If y'all haven't heard that, y'all can go to 105.3 The Fan on YouTube, I believe. It should be up there. If not, they messing around and stalling. But Clayton Adams did kind of confirm that a little bit. Like, hey, man, I like being bigger on the interior or being dominant on the interior. He don't want to move guys around. So Brian is gathering a lot of information out there. We're gonna continue to listen, and he's gonna be doing the work out there, and I'll be reporting on his work. So y'all stay tuned in. Crown Globe Media, man, we got a lot of work to do. Man, Bryan Broaddus.
Mm-hmm. By the way, can I say something real quick?
Hell yeah.
And this goes back to George Pickens.
Okay.
And Sean Sharif asked Clayton Adams. Sean goes, I'm trying to kind of figure out what George Pickens is. And Clayton Adams goes, me too. He said it with a smile. Yeah. But what he said about George Pickens got my attention. And I think you and I believe this. Mm-hmm. Maybe we haven't had anybody confirm it, but I think this is something that we believed. Yeah. Clayton Adams said, listen, I love football. He said that. I love football. And let me tell you this, George Pickens loves football. And I love people who love football like me. And George Pickens is that guy. So we can all kind of get upset for George Pickens and things going on and maybe being late and tardy for this. But they're interested. And this is where Will McClay will come on with us and talk about this. He'll tell us, like, listen, there's been a time where they've drafted players that haven't loved football. Yeah. And it's got them in trouble. It has got them in trouble. The reason why they are going to have to be aggressive in free agency and try and fix the defense is because they've not done a very good job of drafting defensive players. We've gone into that. But they've also drafted players that haven't loved football. And I think that's where you're going to see. That's why they're interested in doing this with George Pickens. Just for what Clayton Adams said. Hey, I'm trying to figure the guy out, but I do know one thing. He loves football.
Brian, we got some players, man, that we watched over the past couple of days. Mm-hmm. We got three 3 corners. Every now and then, I'll just throw in a day where we just knock a big chunk out of a group. You know.
Yeah, you got after me a little bit on these corners, but I appreciate that.
We had to watch the running back too because we ain't been watching running back. You know what I'm saying? But,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Bryan, of this group of 4, 1 running back and 3 corners, I got a 3rd round grade. I got another 3rd round grade, and I got 2 4s. Bryan Broaddus.
All right.
Me and you kind of went back and forth on it a little bit, so I think you have a good idea about who my guys are and kind of where they fall. But I would love to hear, like, if you had to rank those guys, the 4 players that we're going to talk about today, if you had to rank them, run them down from best to worst, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm in that mode right now where I really struggled. And I struggled in a way with Lee from Texas A&M and then Scott from Illinois.
Yeah.
I think these are better players than where I ranked them. And the Imagn guy as well. I've been struggling. I'm going to be real honest with our listeners. Mm-hmm. I'm struggling with these corners we've been watching lately because I think they're better players than where I've put them. You know, and it bothers me. I don't have a great handle round wise.
Yeah.
I think these guys might be better than Neal, Arkansas, Everett, Georgia. Imagn, you know, you've got me thinking, did you have a bad day watching these guys? Lee, Texas A&M, Scott, Illinois.
Yeah. Good
players. Are they 4th round players? Are they 3rd round players? And are they better than what we got with the Neal and Everett, who I just mentioned? I had a little bit of an issue with Claiborne, the running back, because I think I buried a guy. You know, I'm getting to a point now where I'm really trying hard to get the guys right because I might not get back to these guys.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make sure that I have the Lees and the Scotts and the Claibornes and those guys. I want to make sure they're right because if I circle back on guys, they might not be. And I don't want to keep stacking them down the board. You know, I don't want to keep, well, wait a minute. And there's, this was the first weekend of looking at tape where, well, I've had some questions about the edges and some of the defensive tackles, but I really am starting to have some questions about these corners. And I'm afraid, Voch, that I might have them not in the right spot.
I think that's an interesting concern. I don't think you have them wrong, Bryan, because I think it's natural to rethink your board because there's so many guys that's just stacked up in there. I think some of these guys are going to get drafted later than where we have them.
Sure.
And I'm starting to find a natural barrier, like a natural hurdle that's separating the day 1 and 2 guys and bumping down the day 3 guys. And it's the corners that I think that I don't know if they can run really well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you talk about Everett, I can understand what you're saying about Everett, but Everett got size, length, and speed. No matter what you think about all the other stuff, he at least got size, length, and speed. And he's a press cover guy, and I kind of value press cover guys a little bit more. What I'm noticing, like the Neals, the Scott, the Lees, I even got Pons down here too. Pons has kind of been falling down my board because of size. But those other guys, like, they don't run that well. Or I may have a question about if they can turn all that well. And I'm not doing it on purpose, but those dudes just naturally ended up in round 4 for me. So, Bryan, you're not wrong about Will Lee. Will Lee from Texas A&M, the corner, he's an interesting study, and I got a long report about him. And I don't normally write long reports. I can normally remember players. So if
you do a good job with that, you really do.
Appreciate you. So when people looking at my board and it's on Twitter, it's the top comment, the pinned tweet up there on my Twitter. They can see my notes, Bryan. And some players don't have notes, or some players may have like 2-word notes or whatever. That means I got a good feel for the guys. If I got a long report on somebody, it's because over time watching their film, I had to try to figure them out a little bit. This is what I got on Will Lee, Bryan, Texas A&M. Height and arm length, first of all. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the first thing that's kind of going to jump out to you. I think he's very physical, Brian. Super physical, competitive. You can see him getting there and competing and getting handsy a little bit. He might get a little grabby, but if they don't call it, it don't count. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a positive for him. I think he's going to be more of a boundary dude than a field guy, Brian. The one thing I notice about Will Lee is that the more he has to move, the worse it kind of gets for him. You know what I'm saying? So if it's downfield, the more he got to run downfield and turn his back to somebody, it gets a little worse. Or the further inside he has to carry a guy, and that might be why you kind of having trouble with him. The further inside he has to carry a guy, he can't keep up with those dudes. So that made me worry about his speed and his movement and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But Brian, anything that's short, like he can't cover crosses, but he covers slants really well because he's physical and he has a short burst that he can get in on him, Brian. I think this dude is a cover 2 corner, Brian. I think he's a dude that's going to be really good in the flats. He can carry inside to an extent. He can carry behind to an extent. He's gonna need help over the top of him. I think he's one of those kinds of guys. If he got to turn his back to the quarterback downfield, I don't think he's not gonna find the ball, Brian. It is what it is. And I saw a bunch of teams run crosses on him because he runs a bunch of man coverage. And I think he's a decent man cover guy because of his physicality and his length. But the further you cross the field, they leave him, Brian. They ass be gone. So I don't know if he can run all that well. That's the first thing in this last stanza I got. I don't know if he's gonna run. And sometimes you can see him guessing a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think that's good for him. I think it's better when he just gets to feel and see what's in front of him. But if he has to like he ends up turning around, turning his back to the receivers and things like that, Brian, and that's technique stuff. He's not refined there. And he has to do a better job finding the ball downfield. They hit him a lot looking for the ball downfield. And the worst part about all of it, Brian, is when you evaluate him as a tackler, my last line is he's too big to be diving at ankles. That's my last line. Yeah.
Boy, you've made me feel a lot better because I was in a situation where are these guys better than, and I was having some doubt like we talked about earlier, but man, I really do appreciate how you broke this player down. I have him myself in that 4th round is where I have him. And I do like the length. I do like the ability to, drive when he drives on some throws. I see that. You're right about the crossing stuff. You know me, that's the stickler that I always have. Yeah. If you're a receiver that can't cover inside and you have problems doing that, maybe you're going to be a guy that I'm not going to probably like a whole lot. But man, I will say this, you're right. He does. This guy gets a little grabby, and when he's late to turn, and then he gets stacked, and that could be a little bit of a problem. You see him; he's kind of pulling on receivers. He can maybe that's something right now that's could get penalties and stuff. We've talked about some guys that could be a little grabby in the way they play. And I do worry about this guy. But you mentioned about the ankle tackling and stuff. 6'1", 189, driving on the football, and all of a sudden he's diving into the ground. That's a little bit of a problem for me. So I was a little bit worried that maybe you would have him higher, and maybe I didn't see the player right. But I feel like just listen to you read the report. If I was sitting in a war room with you, I would feel a lot better about the grade I gave the guy.
And Brian, what I really feel about what you're saying that I really understand is that when you watch film, you do see these guys make plays. Like they are starting corners in the SEC is what he, you know what I'm saying? So you see him make his plays, so you would feel positive about him when he's doing good things. But the 4th round is where traits guys start to, and I think that's what he is. He's a guy with traits, and if he goes to some coach that can work on his footwork or maybe refine some things or whatever, his techniques and things like that, then maybe he'll be fine. But just versus his peers, it just happens to be in this group, it's a lot of dudes that can play. So in this draft, man, you just happen to get buried in the 4th. It just is what it is.
Yeah, he is like you say. I wouldn't say this guy is smooth-footed. I wouldn't say he's super fluid, and I think that leads to the things that you were talking about with some of the routes that he has to carry.
Brian, why don't you tell us about the corner from Illinois, Xavier Scott?
Yeah, I think there's what's really interesting to me about when you talk about with Scott and how he plays, and I kind of felt like that this was a guy a little bit when you watched him. I like the fact that there was some versatility to him as a player. When I felt like he was really, really smart, and he might be one of these guys, Voch, that you play him in the slot, you could play him outside. He's 5'11", he's 190 pounds. I think he has a real good feel for how to play both. I think when you watch him play zone, you can see him playing leverage. You can see him playing with some anticipation. This is one of those guys that tends to bait the quarterback in the way he plays. So that's one of those things where you got to be careful, because if you watch him in some of these games, they get him on the out routes. They start getting him because he'll play off, and he's baiting to try and make you make a throw. Yeah. And I think that's something that he has to be a little bit careful about. But man, this is a physical guy, and when you watch him play press, he can shock you at the line of scrimmage with his hands. He can stay in phase. I think he has some twitchiness to his game as well in that short area and in places like that. But you got to be, like I say, you got to be a little bit careful, with this guy, because again, all the baiting that he's doing, you see some throws that are made on him, but you also see him like drop off coverage and then go help, or drop to go make a play. He's got a feel for that kind of a game when you look at him. So I like this guy. I just wasn't sure, really, like I say, for a twitchy guy, you mentioned this, how fast is this guy really going to run for you? We'll see out here at the Combine if, in fact, we do get a speed on Xavier Scott. But when you start to talk about ball skills and how smart he is and baiting and all that, he's got a really good feel for how to play the position.
And Brian, those are the kind of dudes I like, man. You know me.
Yeah.
You know me. So I naturally have him higher than Lee from A&M. I'm kind of conflicted about how I feel about Scott versus Neal and Pons. I mean, I'll be figuring out my round 4 board as we go. But Brian, you said it best. I think he's going to be best at off man and zone. Sticky coverage, make plays on the ball. I found that was impressive, Brian. I think he's a guy that's going to be moved around a bunch. You know what I'm saying? Like I agree. If he goes to some coach that's creative in that way, then they can move him around. I was really impressive. I was really impressed at him, like, tackling, Brian. Like he's an aggressive tackler, which is different than, big ass Will Lee having the people angles and stuff. You know what I mean? But just as a rundown guy, like this, that almost made me bump him up to the third round. You know what I'm saying? But I got a bunch of guys in the third round. The only thing that I was kind of worried about, Brian, is maybe he could be over aggressive. You know what I'm saying? But and maybe he just need to see it better and then attack. I don't know. I mean, that's on him. But he does a decent job seeing it. Sometimes I saw him, kind of get a little, I'm gonna attack this so much that the play
overrun it.
Overrun the play all the time. He does that sometimes. I want to see how he's gonna test though, Brian. You know what I'm saying? He looks like he's moving at a decent speed, but I want to know how he runs and how he turns versus some of his peers. Now when you off man, Brian, it's different techniques you can use. The league is kind of not gone away from it, but they don't require everybody be a good backpedaler. You know what I'm saying? Back in your day, backpedaling was a humongous deal. Can you backpedal then turn? Like a lot of those guys play half, like they'll turn now. Like if you playing zone mostly, they'll just kind of turn towards whatever zone that they're working to. So backpedaling and being able to turn isn't that important if you're not playing man stuff. Sometimes, but that's gonna obviously keep some teams from looking at them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I you mentioned that, but the pedal and just immediately open and play sideways. We saw that with our guy at Florida. That Moore? That you see him like at the snap, he's square, and then he turns and he just starts running sideways.
Yeah.
So you see guys playing. We're seeing a lot more of that. Get up on a guy and then turn and bail.
Yeah.
But run sideways while you're doing it. So it's a talent to have, but you'd like him to be more balanced and more pedal and stay in faith. I think he could do those things, but the turning and going is something we're definitely going to have to see.
Yeah, 100%, Brian. But I got him in the fourth. He'll be higher in the fourth than Lee is, and hey, man, Lee might be less than that. I don't know. We'll see. But that's just kind of where I have him right now. We'll watch some more corners figure this thing out. Brian, I will say though, Treydan Stukes can play some football, can he?
He can.
I think
absolutely.
I think Treydan Stukes.
Absolutely. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of this player right here. Brian, really am.
Brian, the first word that I put in all caps and exclamations, big nickel. There's your guy right there, Brian. There's your big nickel, your 6'2" guy. Christian Parker was up there talking about. We got another tall and long guy. Full-time nickel corner. And look, Brian, this is me going in order, so please just watch this. Full-time nickel corner is what I said early, right? Good in zone and off man, got some ball skills, clearly smart, quarterback reader. Oh snap, he played free too?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I put him there, Voch. I put him at free.
Yeah.
I put him at safety.
Okay.
Is where I put him. I absolutely here's our guy. You know what I'm trying to do in my life?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get as many of these slot, linebacker, safety, corner guys. And you know what? I'm going to put them all in safety, and I'm going to let somebody sort them out for me. I'm going to ask some people like, well, where do you have this guy? I did it with Scott from Scott from Miami. I'm doing it with Stukes from Arizona.
Yeah.
This guy, you see him play linebacker. You see him play slot.
Yeah. You
see him play safety. This guy, he's got that ability to do all those things that we talk about. So I'm putting them all in that safety, that group. If you're a corner and I see you play three different things and you're talking about these hybrid players and things, that's he's in my wheelhouse right now. Trust me on that.
Brian, that's fair. That is fair as all get out. And part of me wants to make a new section on my board for these hybrid guys, right? Because so many of those guys play.
I agree.
Like, like if you think about, let's scroll up a little bit. If you think about Halsey, right? Halsey's gonna play one spot. Like he's gonna be a safety. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But some of these other guys play three spots. They play three spots. So Stukes, damn, Brian, you right. I watched Kansas. I watched them versus it was some other
Arizona State. Did you see Arizona State?
Bro, he had a hell of a range he played versus Arizona State.
Yeah.
And that made me feel like, okay, he ain't just a safety. He got range too. So, Brian, look, man, I may have to put Stukes over there with my safeties. I don't know where I would play him if I moved him over there. But active tackler. He can run. Let me do this. He can run, but I'm curious about turning in man coverage, like having to immediately turn and run against somebody. But Brian, I feel like he was decent in man. I just wonder, like when we look at guys like this, there's a level of man coverage. Like there's levels to it. Like some guys can play man versus anybody. Some guys can play man versus tight end. Some guys can play man if a running back lines up there, right? I think he'll be really good because he's tall and long. He'll be really good versus big receivers, tight ends, running backs if you want to. I'm curious what he would look like versus like shifty receivers. But I would try him there though, Brian. I would try him because if he's in zone, he's mostly reading and reacting anyway. And man is probably going to be 20% of the time anyway. And versus bigger targets, I kind of saw him push him around a little bit. I saw some bigger dudes kind of muscle him, jump over him, sometimes block him up pretty good. But man, Brian, I got a 3 on him, man. I think he's nice.
I put him in the 3. Let me ask you this: we studied Lewis from
Pittsburgh.
from Pitt,
Pittsburgh,
but we saw him playing as a linebacker. And I put him in that safety group.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking, you're right. Like Ramsey maybe more of a back guy. Halsey, back guy.
Yep.
Lewis, Scott from Miami.
Yeah.
Stukes. Kind of looking at these guys. Bud Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at these guys, trying to kind of figure out. I think I might put Stukes over Scott and Lewis is what I think. And by the way, after our conversation the other day, I put Lewis down. I had Scott up in the second round.
Yeah.
I dropped him down into that Ramsey, Halsey, that group.
Yeah.
My guys up at that top of that board, it needs to be Thieneman from Oregon. It needs to be Wheatley from Penn State. It needs to be McNeil Warren. Those need to be the guys I'm focusing on. And now let me figure out the Ramsey USC, the Lewis Pittsburgh, who we've seen play linebacker, projecting him to play some safety, coverage-wise, smaller guy. Scott, Miami, we know Scott can blitz. We know Scott can play in the slot. Yeah. We know Scott will tackle. We don't know if Scott will cover all that great. So, but put Stukes in there. I kind of feel like you got a guy that kind of could do all those things. You mentioned about getting bullied a little bit, but I do think he covers well enough.
See, Brian, with these hybrid guys, it's going to be weird because you have to find out what they're what are they a mix of? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some guys are hybrid, free and strong. Some guys are hybrid, strong and linebacker. Like Lewis is strong linebacker. Stukes is free nickel. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of little combinations of these guys that you can kind of just roll out.
Stukes should be over with the Bud Clark guys.
He should.
Bud Clark. Yeah, and Lewis and maybe Ramsey over there too. Halsey, Lewis, Scott, Strong, and then Bud Clark, Stukes, Ramsey over on the free side. Is that reasonable?
That makes sense. The differentiating factor should be: do you play on the roof? Are you a free safety type guy? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there you go.
Dylan Thieneman plays a bunch of nickel, but he's a high safety. You know what I'm saying? He's a free safety. So maybe the guys that aren't gonna play. So Halsey's not gonna play free. Lewis is not gonna play free. Keontae Scott is not. No. Ramsey will sometimes. Genesis Smith will always more than likely play free.
Yes, sir.
Stukes is going to play free.
Yes, sir.
This safety group is interesting, Brian. It just keeps unfolding every day. And I got Stukes as a corner right now. I'm gonna leave him there for now, but I'm gonna keep thinking on it, Brian, because if I do put him at safety, he'll be below Clark, but above Halsey, Lewis, and Scott for me. He'll be in the third still, but he'll be under Clark for me.
Did you put Ramsey in the fourth?
I got Ramsey in the fourth.
Yeah.
But he's like
fair.
Yeah, but
that's fair. That's fair.
Ramsey's going to be like a high 4 for me. Like a high 4, lower 3 for me.
I could see poor Ramsey, if you get more safeties, I could see poor Ramsey sliding on your board.
Hey man, that's how it's been. That's what's been happening.
That's how it's been. It's absolutely
like Ramsey. When you first watch him, is incredibly versatile. But then you watch guys that got more range than him, guys that tackle better than him, guys that cover better than him. You just keep bumping Ramsey, and you can't keep him in the second, and you can't have 32nd round guys. You just got to bump him. You got to put him in the third. You got to put him in the fourth.
Yeah. Right.
Brian, let me ask you this: Ramsey or Genesis Smith?
I had Genesis Smith behind him, and man, I'm a coward for doing that. The thing about Smith, it's so funny. We were talking about him tackling the other day, and then I saw a couple of plays he made, and then I was watching Stukes.
Yeah.
And he ran up, made a tackle, like aggressive.
On the same team. Yeah.
And I'm like going, son of a B. What the hell? I showed my ass. Oh, this Genesis Smith, he ain't going to come up and tackle. God dang it.
Yeah.
Son of a B.
It's all good.
I'm watching Stukes, and I'm going, oh, look at the tackle Genesis Smith just made.
You ain't wrong, Brian. You just happened to catch Genesis Smith being right. You ain't wrong.
I caught Genesis Smith. I have Genesis Smith in the fourth, probably a third. probably a third, but I still, man, if you're talking about a true free safety, just Smith is your guy. I think Bud Clark's that way too. I think Bud Clark could do a lot of different things, but if you want to just play, if you want to line up a guy and play safety, oh, hey, Jeff Kavanaugh. If you want to talk about Bud Clark that way, I think he could do a lot of different things for you. What you're trying to do.
Bryan, why don't you tell us about our running back from Wake Forest, Desmond Claiborne, and why the 5 fumbles bother you?
Oh man, you knew right where to go on that one, didn't you? I mean,
a lot of fumbles.
Yeah,
he can play though, Bryan.
Yeah,
that's a lot of.
He
fumbles.
can play. No man, my guy can play. He can absolutely play. Let me pull up my notes here for Claiborne. Yeah, he's a
Desmond Claiborne
out of Wake Forest. I think this guy's got some 5'10", 195 pounds. He has got some really good lateral agility and the quickness. You could see that with the way he's run. He's well built in the lower body. I mean, I'm watching him like, oh my God, this guy's got some thickness to his, to his legs. There's power there. You can see him plant. You can see him get to and through the whole blink of an eye kind of a guy. That way, the vision, he can adjust on the move. He sees the lane develop. He's off to the races. I think the contact balance was really, really good for this guy. Break tackles. There's a couple of things, though, that you mentioned. The coaches use him on the swings and stuff like that, check downs. He makes some plays that way. He did have 6 drops during the season, and he could be a little hit and miss, though, as a receiver, but you did see the swings, the check downs. The pass protection stuff is going to need a lot of work. The effort was really good. Technique could be better. The 5 fumbles are something you're going to clearly have to, and you brought it up. There has to be an element of some concern there. But what you do like about the kid is he had 23 runs of 10 yards plus, and he's had a large number of 15 plus runs too. Man, the running style could be really impressive. But man, the other things that you're going to need him to do to stay on the field, you have to look at. I put him in myself. I put him in I think I put him down. Let me make sure I had him, because I want to say I had him in the 4th, in the 4th round. But there's a lot of things that you're going to have. No, I actually put him down in the 5th round is where I put him. So
Bryan.
Yeah. I sound like Jim Garrett. I gave you all these positive things, and then all of a sudden I just dropped him. I let the parachute fall on him. I got him below Singleton. I got him below Moss. Those are 4th round guys. I have him down there with, I think, Claiborne, McGowan from Kentucky were the 2 5th round guys that I have.
Let me say this, Bryan. I do think I have him a little too high.
Oh, you get him in the 3rd?
I got a late 3rd on him, Bryan.
Do you right?
I got him better.
Do you have him? Do you have him better than Singleton,
yes,
Moss?
Yes.
Coleman? Do you have better than Coleman?
He ain't better than Coleman. He's so right now is Love in the 1st.
Yeah.
Johnson, then Price in the 2nd.
Okay.
Coleman
that's Nebraska, Notre Dame.
Nebraska,
okay.
Notre Dame, my bad. Then I got Coleman in the 3rd.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I got Claiborne from Wake Forest after him. And he feels like a late 3rd for me.
Yeah.
But Bryan, you ain't wrong. He'll put the ball on the turf in multiple ways. He looks aloof as a block. He don't know who to block, Bryan. I think coaching can fix him, Bryan. I think Wake Forest missing something. Bryan, this dude is explosive.
We thought
Bryan.
this about Blue, didn't we? Did we think this about Blue? Oh, he's explosive, man.
Blue was a 3rd round grade for me too, Bryan. And Blue was putting the ball on the turf too. Blue was a lot better of a receiver though. Bryan, listen, man.
This guy, trust me, I struggled with this guy. I struggled with him because I watched him hand him the ball and I watched him have big runs. And I'm like, okay, that's what he does, but
he accelerates so fast, Bryan.
Yes, he does.
And you just see people running behind him, Bryan.
Yeah,
Bryan, you also see for such a fast guy, Bryan. You also see him breaking tackles a little bit too, Bryan. You see him finishing runs.
I told you the lower body powers. The lower body powers there, but man, my guys, My guy had drops.
Brian,
he doesn't block great.
His best runs are tosses and sweeps, Brian. Did you see how he got outside?
They handed the ball, and all of a sudden it's like they attack the edge, and then like they got angles on him, and he's up the sidelines. You're going, all right, man, that's good. That's good.
Brian,
come on, man.
Sometimes
you're drafting Jadon Blue here.
Listen,
you're talking about Jadon Blue here is what you're doing.
Look, Jadon Blue talented. He just don't work hard. Look, sometimes he jukes himself into trouble.
He does.
But a lot of the time, he jukes himself out of trouble, Brian. Come on, man. Not really a receiver, and he's not really a route runny guy. But he can catch if you throw it to him. But what is coaching for, Brian?
The swings.
Yeah, the little swings, right? Little swings and hitches he be running, Brian. His blocking be all over the place.
You got this guy better than Singleton and Moss. I think Moss at A&M is really good if he can stay healthy.
That's
what I'm saying. I got him in the 4. I'm a
Singleton
coward.
Can't block. McGowan can't block. Can't none of them block.
But Claiborne fast and 5th round. 4th and 5th round. That's where they are, man.
Yeah, right. Look, let me say something. Before the day is over, he might be a 4th. He ain't finna be no 5, and he ain't gonna be lower than Singleton, Moss, and McGowan. But Brian, the good thing about it is I'm forcing us to watch some more running backs over the next 3 weeks or so. So we're gonna build this board out. And look, who knows, Brian? He ain't gonna be a 5 on my board on my damn. He might be a 4 by the time it's over with.
He's a 3 because of the explosiveness, right?
Explosiveness, and he can create his own space, Brian. I think it's rare that running backs create their own space. And
like everything else you need him to do is a question.
He put the ball on
everything
the
else. Everything. I can see, we're handing the ball. He's Brad Sham. He's to the outside. He's around the corner. 20, 10. Oh, he drops the ball.
Look,
he got hit. Fumble.
Look, you ain't wrong, but we can fix it.
I'm just saying, man.
We got the best coaches in the league, Brian. We pay our coaches millions of dollars to fix this.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this. I'm starting to have problems with Coleman a little bit from Washington. I don't think Coleman runs all that well.
He don't.
I really don't. I got him up there in the 3rd round. And I'll tell you the one thing I like about him is I think he catches the ball really well, and I think he pass blocks really well.
Yeah.
I got him underneath Price. But Singleton, Moss, Claiborne, McGowan, here's the struggle bus for your old buddy Broaddus.
What I think
just like those damn corners, right there in the middle, 4th, 5th round guys.
What I think is going to happen, I think Love is going to go early. I think Johnson and Price are going to be high 2s. And I think
Price, I bet you Price goes before Johnson.
Probably
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody take that Notre Dame kid.
They'll be wrong, though, because Johnson blocked better than him. But I think after those two, Brian, I think it's going to be a long wait. And then we'll see Coleman, Claiborne, Singleton, Moss, and McGowan come on.
You and I'll be working together, and Kyle Yeomans will go, watch, who's the best player on your board? And you're gonna just rail off. I'm gonna tell you about this Claiborne kid.
He put the ball on the
from
ground.
Wake Forest.
he drop it and fumble it, but he can run. Brian,
I tell you what, man, it is impressive. It really is.
It's impressive.
But all the other, man, I can't live with this. I can't live with this right now.
Yeah, I feel you, Brian. So, ladies and gentlemen, what's going to end up happening? Today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. We normally do like a Q&A of some sort, but Brian's on Radio Row at the Combine. So I'm going to wait around to see what news pop off, or if there's an interview that caught his eye. Maybe we'll talk about Rappaport tomorrow or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But if nothing incredibly interesting happens, then me and Brian will just ask each other questions. And
I'll have some stuff for you. Yeah, we'll have some stuff for you.
But more than likely, ladies and gentlemen, Brian will have something for us. So we're going to do that, and we'll get back to the Q&A next week, to the mailbag next week. But a ton of information coming out, so we should be good to go there. And then we got players to watch on Friday. So I could preview those guys if you want. I locked my phone. Don't worry about it. I'll tell y'all about those guys tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, Voch, where do we find? It's all on crownglobemedia.com. You look for the merch, our scout notebooks that we're really excited about. You can get whatever piece of merch with whatever logo you want on there. Go over there, check it out. If you're looking for any of the audio stuff, it's all over there. Check us out. hell, Voch Lombardi content over there, and I'm putting videos up from my channel is all up there. So be sure to check us out on crownglobalmedia.com. Bryan is Crown Global Media on Twitter right now. Don't unfollow Bryan Broaddus. He'll run into somebody while he's at the combine to get something fixed up or whatever. But right now he's Crown Global Media on Twitter, and I'm not Crown. I'm Voch. I'm Voch Lombardi on Twitter. I didn't get hacked. All right, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow. We love y'all to pieces. All right, Crown.